Is it good? Okay, good. It is skippable. As the sun begins to set on this late summer day, the door creaks open, revealing a fairly messy bedroom. Clothes are disarranged all over the floor and dressers. The bed hasn't been made in at least a day, and the trash is full. A boy enters the room, tossing his backpack on his computer chair and laying back in his bed.
Ah, thank God it's Friday.
It was great to hang out with Kayla, Ruby, and Michael today. I guess I can probably narrate in his voice.
And even better, Michael officially joins the club on Monday. I'll have to get a copy or that oath to Kayla at some point over the weekend unless she already has it. To think it almost didn't happen this year. I sit back up in my bed and look at my bookshelf. It's mostly manga and old comic books that I've read at least 100 times over by this point, but there are a few select things that I've always kept near and dear to me. I stand up and reach for one of the shelves, grabbing an old picture. Man, that year sucked. But there were a few people who were able to make it at least a little bit bearable. I think to myself as I stare at last year's club photo. In the front row, it's our old club offices, Bailey, Emily, David, and Kyle. In the row behind, it's Kayla, Ruby, myself, and Natsuki. I remember Kayla and Natsuki wanted to be as far away from each other as possible in this picture. Never really understood why they couldn't try getting along for the sake of the club. But I should have seen her exit coming when Kayla got elected as president. Figured Natsuki wouldn't have put up with it, not that she would have lasted long anyways. Funny that she didn't want to be president either, but it's not like she would have won. Maybe it would have been Kayla that bolted from the club if things were the opposite. Then Ruby would have followed, and, well, there'd be no club. I guess it worked out for the best in some sort of weird way. I really miss those guys. They really kept the peace in the club, and there were some of the coolest people I've ever met. Besides, Kayla and Ruby, those guys really stuck their necks out for me when everything was going to hell. Even when they didn't have to and were checked out. I hope we're living up to the example you set for us, you guys. I'll make sure the anime club is just as fun this year as it was last year. Kayla, Ruby, Michael, and I will do our best to grow the club. We'll make you proud. I hope you're all doing okay. I feel a slight tear coming on, but I sigh and close the book as I put it back on the shelf. Sucks that we really haven't heard too much from them since they graduated, but they all have different lives now. I know they'd be proud of the work we've done so far. Alright, well that's enough reminiscing for one day. Time to check out Reddit. I take one last look at the picture before putting it back and walking to my computer. Alright, that's episode 2 of presumably 5. Let's keep going. Let's see what else we got in this mod here. Yep, I know. That's why we're here. Episode 3. Let's go. It's the morning before school starts. Usually I'd either still be in bed or making myself breakfast, but today is a rather special occasion. Today I'm officially signing up to be a member of the anime club. It's really the only club I've found mildly interesting, and, well, you could say I've had a lot of encouragement to join. No thanks to Shiro's efforts. But I've had the chance to meet all the club members, and overall it seems like a pretty good group, so I don't really see the downside in at least trying them out for a little while. I initially wasn't planning to join any clubs so soon, but here we are. Besides, I can always stay or go on my own free will. Plus, the other club members are easy on the eyes. Shiro passes me the application form along with a pen. I briefly glimpse over it, basically a bunch of technical writing that I really don't care to read. All I have to do is sign the thing. With the pen in hand, I sign on the dotted line that requires my signature. Alright, those are the rights to my kidneys. Please take care of them. I'll be sure to look after them,
Shiro says with a chuckle. I slide the document back to Shiro, who takes one last good look at it before handing it to the school secretary.
Congratulations, Michael. You're officially a member of the anime club. Well, I guess you'll be officially official once we induct you at the meeting later today.
There's a whole initiation process? What did I just sign myself into?
Well, yeah, it's standard for all new members. Each club has their own little induction process.
Fair enough. I'm kind of curious to see what ours will be like.
Oh, it's nothing that over the top. Trust me. It'll be a little corny, but it's really short.
Alright, well, fair enough. I guess whatever it is I have to go through shouldn't be too bad. I finish my thought as Shiro and I exit the office and step out into the lobby. Since we have some time to kill before classes start, Shiro and I decided to idly walk the hallways until the first bell rang.
I gotta say, Michael, I think you joining the club is cause for some celebration later. If you wouldn't mind, we could take the celebration from the club to your place. And just be honest, I don't think Kayla and Ruby have time today.
Well, this is a little sudden. I didn't think Shiro and I had become close enough to where we were asking to hang out at each other's houses, but I don't really see the harm in having him over at least once. I'll think about it. I'll have to make sure my mom is done unpacking everything, and if she's cool with having people over.
Understandable. Well, hey, just let me know.
What's the cause for celebration? I didn't think joining was really that big of a deal for you guys.
Well, you're our magic fourth member. Without you, we literally couldn't or wouldn't be able to be recognized in the eyes of the student council or any of the other clubs. And, well, you've been the only one interested so far.
You don't think others will join?
Well, I'm hopeful, but historically our club has never been that big. It's rare for a new member to come along for a club like ours. All our previous officers graduated last year, and we would have been fine since we initially had 4 members. Myself, Kayla Ruby, and this girl Natsuki.
Oh yeah, I remember you and Kayla talking about her.
Yeah, like I said, we don't really talk about her in the club. It's a very long story.
Is there a short version?
Basically, girl stuff.
Not sure what he means by that, but it's probably something I wouldn't understand either.
But yeah, after Natsuki left in the last week of school last year, we were left with 3 members. Her leaving at this last minute really put us in a bind. We didn't have too long to try to find a 4th member before we had to submit our budget request for the student council. For whatever reason, they decided to do it pretty early this year. And well, if you don't have 4 members, you can't request a budget since you're not a recognized club. So you joining saved our necks in the nick of time.
Well, I'm glad to help.
I'm serious, we can't thank you enough. Kayla, Ruby, and I are extremely grateful for your help.
Well, I like anime and you guys seem like a cool group. I'm sure we'll have a great time together.
Yeah, me too. Hey, I know this is a little sudden, but I need to use the restroom. Would you mind waiting for me here?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome, thanks.
Shiro quickly walks ahead and beelines it to the men's room, throwing open the door and rushing in before I could blink. I lean against the wall and pull out my phone, scrolling through my various apps as I try to decide what's the best one to kill time with. As I'm scrolling, I suddenly begin to have an uneasy feeling, as if some sort of spider sense is tingling. I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost like I have the feeling that someone's watching me. You don't need this. Come on. I look back up the hallway to where Shiro just disappeared into the restroom. Not a single person in sight. I then notice something out of the corner of my eye. I turn my head to look down the hall to see another person leaning against some lockers adjacent to me. I can't make him out too well since he's somewhat far off, but I get the feeling he's staring directly at me. It's probably nothing. Maybe he's just waiting for someone. I turn my attention back to my phone. After a good minute, I eventually settled on some gaming app that I almost forgot I had. As my phone takes a moment to boot it up, the uneasy feeling returns. Apprehensively, I take another look down the hallway. I look down and make eye contact once again with the same guy, who seems like he hasn't even moved an inch since I last looked. An uncomfortable chill creeps down my spine the longer I look back at him. This isn't normal. Why is he starting at me like that? Maybe he's one of the weird kids. I thought about going over there and asking what his deal was, but before I could decide on what to do, Shiro returned from the restroom.
Hey, Michael,
he says as he walks back towards me. My attention is pulled away from the stranger and back to Shiro. Oh, hey, I say with a slight sense of worry in my voice. Shiro quizzically looks at me. I guess he's picked up on my uneasiness.
You good?
So, someone was just staring at me.
Who?
I point out to Shiro where the stranger was standing, but as soon as we both look down the hallway, there's no one to be seen. Shiro turns back to me, looking unamused.
Are you trying to prank me, Michael?
I'm not. I promise you. This guy was standing right over there and was staring at me the entire time we were in there. Shiro pauses for a moment.
It's probably just one of the weirdos. There's plenty of them here. Most of them are harmless.
Well, that's reassuring.
It could have also been some freshmen spacing out.
I don't think so. He looked more our age.
Well, if you say so. Want to keep walking? Maybe we'll run into him again and you can point him out.
Yeah, sure. Honestly, it's probably nothing worth making a fuss about. He was probably just waiting for someone. I continue my walk with Shiro until the bell rings and where we are forced to head to the second floor for our first class with Mr. Hara. Shiro and I couldn't find the guy that was staring at me earlier. In fairness, he also was probably long gone by the time we managed to go around the first floor. But I'm probably blowing things out of proportion to begin with. I'm sure I'll forget about it by the end of the day. Mr. Harr's class was pretty uneventful. I'm still mulling over ideas on how I could talk to Sam, but so far nothing's dawned on me. It's not like I've had a really good opportunity to talk to her yet anyways. My other classes were also largely uneventful, and I barely remember anything that happened in them. Now I'm sitting in my second to last class before lunch, literature with Mr. Zawinski. I didn't think much of him on the first day of class, but over the course of the first week, we've gotten to know him a little bit more. As it turns out, he's been teaching literature here for over 20 years and has a particular passion for guys like Shakespeare and, surprisingly, Edmund Macmillan. He's also been putting an unusual amount of time and effort into trying to get to know us personally, at least more so than our other teachers have. He seems to pay extra attention to the female students. Usually there's always a few of them around his desk talking to him before and after class. He's been friendly to me so far, so I can't really complain. The period bell rings and Mr. Zawinski steps into the classroom right on time.
Good day, class,
he says as he takes the podium.
I hope everyone has been enjoying the reading so far. I hope it's proved to be enlightening and entertaining for all of you.
A few students nod in agreement.
So today I have a group activity planned for all of us. Considering we have 24 students in this class exactly, we're going to do 8 groups of 3. Today's assignment that I would like turned to me directly before you leave here today is to analyze the foreshadowing in the first 3 chapters of Tales from the Crypt. Your group will be attempting to predict that, or what will happen by the end of our book. You will, of course, have to justify your predictions using the evidence from the text from what we've read so far. You will have a class presentation on this tomorrow. This does go without saying, but don't look at the end of the book. Trust me, I'll know if you do. Now, you don't have to end up being right for this assignment. However, if your group's prediction does end up being accurate, I'll award some extra credit. If you find yourself struggling to find a group, please by all means come see me, and I'd be happy to help you,
he says with another smirk.
Now carry on, you won't have all day.
The class begins scurrying about the room to organize themselves into 8 groups of 3. This is why I hate group projects, especially early on in the semester. I know absolutely nobody here. I also really haven't talked to anyone in this class either, which doesn't help my case. Well, I guess I'll just wander the room and see if I can join a group. I reluctantly get out of my seat and begin searching the room for a suitable group. I walked across the room, and already it looks like most of the class has organized themselves into a group. As I'm looking, I spot a pair already grouped up in the corner of the room. Though it seems like they don't fit too well together. One of them is a guy whose name I think is Adrian. He seems like an angsty kind of guy. He hasn't really participated in class much aside from when Zawinski calls on him. He also seems like the kind of guy who tries to get by with saying as little as possible. The other person in the group, I believe her name is Monica. She's way too enthusiastic for this class. At any rate, the two are seemingly polar opposites, but they seem to be chatting away at the back of the room like they're lifelong friends. Hard to believe those two out of everyone here are friends. Why does that really matter? Well, I guess this group is going to be a complete mismatch, but it's not like I have much choice. I approach the pair who are already in deep conversation. Upon hearing me approach them, the pair abruptly ends their conversation and looks up at me in confusion.
Sup?
Do you mind if I join you guys? Adrian takes a sheepish look at Monica before looking back at me.
Not really. Seems like you're out of options.
Adrian, do you always have to be so brooding?
Yes, I do. Come on, grab a seat.
He gestures to the empty desk behind him. I pull up the desk and we assemble into something of a triangle against the wall.
So, what's your name?
Michael, you're Monica, right?
Yep, that's me.
Well, everyone knows who you are, Monica. Oh, and I'm Adrian, by the way.
Nice to meet you. I offer my hand up to Adrian, who looks at it as if it was some sort of alien greeting.
I don't really do the physical contact thing, no offense.
None taken. I'm kind of the same way, I say as I withdraw my hand.
Well, would you look at that, Monica? There's someone like me here in this dreadful class after all.
Congratulations! Maybe someone else can finally make you less of a downer.
She says with a teasing look. Adrian, however, brushes it off.
As if. Anyways, let's get this out of the way.
Mr. Zawinski comes around and hands each group the assignment. Adrian lazily picks up one of the papers and begins to look over it.
Well, it's nice of Zawinski to give us a little template to use. I'd hate to have to do this from scratch.
mean, it's going to be pretty simple. We've all done the reading, right?
I've kept up with it. Adrian simply nods.
Okay, well, let's get to it.
Monica says enthusiastically. We're able to make surprisingly good progress on the assignment. Though somewhat unsurprisingly, Monica and I did most of the talking while Adrian did the bare minimum, only contributing when Monica prompted him. Otherwise, Adrian spent most of his time checking his phone. Typical high school group scenario playing out in real time. Well, at least he is technically contributing, even if it is very little. Suddenly, Adrian gets a text from someone. Because his phone is in my field of vision, I briefly glance over to see who texted him. I didn't get the chance to see the name, but I did notice that there was a purple heart next to the contact name. How is he in a relationship? It's not really my business. I guess guys like him find love too. It's actually the first time I've ever seen this guy form a half of a smile as he opens the text to read it. I, of course, quickly glance away as soon as he opens it. Though his half smile quickly reverts to his signature sulking look. Adrian says as he facepalms.
What's wrong?
Shiro's being obnoxious in her history class again.
Oh boy.
Monica nervously looks away. I don't get why Adrian isn't saying his girlfriend's name, but I guess he's avoiding saying it because I'm here.
I still can't believe that weirdo didn't get expelled. Why does he have to be in her class?
I'm shocked that Adrian is actually capable of expressing concern about someone, especially since his whole mood is depressing.
Well, I'm sure she'll get through it.
Yeah, but he better not approach her.
He won't, Adrian.
I knew Shiro had a tarnished reputation around the school, but I didn't think these two would have bought into all that. I could believe Monica to be the gossip type, but Adrian? Geez, what did Shiro do? I realize, though, that neither Monica or Adrian seem to know that I'm cool with Shiro, so maybe I can learn a little bit more about him. I could also use the opportunity to see if Kai was actually telling the truth or he was just bluffing last week. Shiro? Who's that? Both of them turned to me with a look of surprise. I'm new, in case you didn't know.
Well, that makes sense then. Still, even a week in, I thought you would have heard something about him.
Just a few rumors, that's it. I didn't expect most of the entire school to have such a big dislike towards him.
Well, I don't like to be the one to confirm them, but there's truth to it.
Yeah.
Monica says timidly. What did this guy do? Adrian leans back in his chair as he looks at Monica, who adverts her eyes. It would be averts, don't need the D. Adrian lets out a sigh.
I guess I'm doing it this time. Alright, I'll start. Dude's a creep. He likes to approach girls and hit on them. He gets shut down every single time.
That's not too bad.
He eventually got desperate enough to wrote this really weird-ass poem about this one girl he had a crush on, and I got posted around the school.
Kai said something similar. Didn't he say fanfiction instead of poem? Someone else told me about this. They said it was a fanfiction instead of a poem.
Fanfiction, poem, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that he wrote something creepy about a girl.
I look on at Monica to confirm if what Adrian is saying is true. She just simply nods her head as she continues to wistfully look away from us.
So he got into a lot of trouble, but for whatever reason, he wasn't expelled. Something about there not being enough evidence to prove it was him. He denied it the entire time.
Can't really blame him for denying it.
It was definitely him.
Monica says as she turns her head back towards us.
It was his writing style, and I know a thing or two about that. I had literature with him last year, and I peer-reviewed him a few times. It was definitely his handwriting and in his style.
You remember his exact handwriting and style?
It's pretty basic compared to others.
Wow. That's something.
He's also just annoying in general. Dude will go on a tangent about anything you ask him. He just doesn't shut up.
Well, I guess that part of Shiro is true, though I personally haven't found him overly annoying.
It also sucks because I've known him since middle school. I've also known that ass Kai for even longer. Can't believe we grew up together.
Yeah, I've met Kai.
He's full of himself, isn't he?
A bit of an understatement.
Nobody likes him, but the school is too afraid to do anything to him. Fortunately, he doesn't bother me because he knows what happens if he messes with me. He can't stand a woman with a spine, and he hates getting publicly called out. Like this one time, I got into an argument with him in computer science class over something stupid, and I just shut him down in front of the entire class. He hasn't even looked me in the eye since.
Kai's learned not to mess with me.
Adrian says with a proud, ominous undertone. I immediately take his meaning. I might have to remember that.
Oh, don't get too cocky. He's hanging around with Randy now since he can't fend for himself.
Wow, sounds like you really know him.
Everyone gets to know him sooner or later. Don't take anything he says seriously, but don't take him lightly either. All that matters is how you handle yourself around him. I'll give him this. He's smart, but he's also cocky. He knows how to push your buttons and talk you out of whooping his ass. He'll even make you feel like the bad guy. But every now and then he gets a little sloppy. And when he does...
Adrian imitates grabbing onto someone as he makes a bone-crushing sound. I look on in shock as Monica nervously laughs it off. Guess this is a normal thing for her, then.
Yeah, you can shut him down. Or beat his ass, whatever you prefer.
Well, not everyone chooses to be as dark as you.
It's not darkness, it's enlightenment. And that's what's wrong with this world. People are too afraid to take matters into their own hands when they're getting walked over. And when some people do, they get called out for being dark or edgy. They just will till they get walked all over. Not me, thankfully. Never really gave a damn about what people thought of me.
Well, except for one person.
Monica says with a smirk. Adrian longingly smiles back.
Well, she's the exception, not the rule.
Wow, you must really love her.
Yeah,
Adrian catches himself, hesitating to use that word. I guess it's not something that he says or admits often. After about a half minute, he finally brings himself to finish his sentence.
Yeah, I guess I do.
See, the world isn't this dark, depressing place that you make it out to be.
Well, it's not sunshine and lollipops, Monica, despite what CRA may have you believe.
I personally believe in the middle ground.
What about you, Mikey?
Mikey? The hell did that come from? Just call me Michael, please.
Alright, Michelangelo.
I'll let that slide. All I can say is things haven't been too great for me recently, but maybe I'm turning the page. Who knows?
You want to talk about it?
I shake my head. It's personal. Monica gives me a reassuring look.
Well, hey, I hope whatever it is that it works out for you, Michael.
Thanks. I wasn't expecting someone to give me sympathy at this hour, but man did this conversation take a dark turn. In an effort to adjust course, I try to get everyone back on track. Anyways, let's finish this thing.
Yeah.
Adrian simply shrugs his shoulders, which we take as approval. The three of us resume our work on the assignment.